I thought my life was perfect. Until the truth came out, the divorce papers sat on our marble kitchen counter like a death certificate. My hands trembled as I slid them toward Marcus, my husband of 12 years, the man I'd built an empire alongside. The man who'd promised me forever under the cherry blossoms in Kyoto. What is this? His voice was cold, detached, as if I'd just handed him a grocery list instead of the end of our marriage. What does it look like? I kept my voice steady, though inside I was shattering into 1,000 pieces. I want a divorce, Marcus. He didn't even blink. That's when I knew for certain. All those late nights at the office, the mysterious phone calls he'd take in the other room, the scent of perfume that wasn't mine clinging to his shirts, it had all been real. My gut had been right. Fine. He picked up the papers, barely glancing at them. I'll have my lawyer look these over. No fight. No pleading. No asking me to reconsider. Just fine. That was 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks of living in the same penthouse but existing in completely different worlds. Marcus had moved into the guest wing. I'd thrown myself into my work at the art gallery I'd founded, the one thing in my life that still felt like mine. It was a Thursday evening when everything changed. I was at a charity gala for the Metropolitan Museum, wearing a black Valentino gown that hugged every curve, my dark hair swept up in an elegant chignon. I wasn't there to enjoy myself. I was there because absence would be noticed, and I refused to let anyone see me crumble. That's when I saw her. Vivienne Laurent. Tall, blonde, devastatingly beautiful in a crimson dress that probably cost more than most people's cars. She was laughing at something, her hand resting possessively on the arm of a silver-haired man I didn't recognize. But I knew her. Oh, I knew her. She was Marcus's partner at the investment firm. And according to the private investigator I'd hired, she was also the woman my husband had been sleeping with for the past 8 months. My champagne glass trembled in my hand. I wanted to march over there and throw the drink in her face. I wanted to scream. I wanted everyone in this glittering ballroom to know what kind of person she really was. But I didn't, because that's not who I am. Instead, I turned to leave, desperate for air for escape. That's when I collided with someone, nearly dropping my glass. I'm so sorry, I gasped, looking up to find myself staring into the most striking gray eyes I'd ever seen. The silver-haired man from across the room. Vivienne's companion. No harm done, he said, his voice rich and warm with a hint of a French accent. Though you look like you could use something stronger than champagne. He was handsome in that distinguished way that only men in their 50s can pull off: sharp jawline, impeccably tailored tuxedo, an air of quiet power that made people instinctively step aside as he moved. I'm fine, I lied. No, you're not. His eyes held mine. You're Sophia Chun, aren't you? The curator who organized last year's post-impressionist exhibition. Brilliant work. I blinked, surprised. You know my work? I know quite a bit about you, actually. He extended his hand. Alexander Laurent. And I believe we have something in common. Laurent. My blood ran cold. You're Vivienne's husband. Yes. His smile was sharp as a blade. And you're married to Marcus Chun, my wife's lover. The floor seemed to tilt beneath my feet. You know. I've known for months. He gestured toward a quiet corner, away from the crowd. Walk with me, Mrs. Chun. We need to talk. I should have walked away. Should have gone home, poured myself a glass of wine, and pretended this conversation never happened. But curiosity and maybe something else pulled me forward. We ended up on a terrace overlooking Central Park, the city lights glittering below us like fallen stars. How long have you known about them? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Since February. I hired an investigator after Vivienne started coming home smelling like another man's cologne. He pulled out a silver cigarette case, offering it to me. I shook my head, and he lit one for himself. I've been gathering evidence ever since. Financial records, photographs, hotel receipts. I have everything I need to destroy her in divorce court. Then why haven't you? Because I've been waiting for the right moment. For the right leverage. He studied me through a veil of smoke. Tell me, Mrs. Chun, what do you know about your husband's business dealings? I know he's a partner at Laurent and Associates. I know he manages investment portfolios for high-net-worth clients. Did you know that he and my wife have been embezzling money from those clients? Millions of dollars funneled through offshore accounts. The world tilted again. What? Alexander pulled out his phone, showing me a series of documents, bank statements, transaction records, emails between Marcus and Vivian discussing transfers and account numbers. I've been building a case for months, he explained. Not just for divorce but for fraud, securities violations. When I'm done, they'll both go to prison. Why are you telling me this? My voice shook. Because I have a proposition for you, Sophia. He stepped closer, his gray eyes intense. I'm worth approximately $300 million. My company, my real estate holdings, my investments, all of it built over 30 years. Under French law and our prenuptial agreement, Vivian would be entitled to half if we divorced under normal circumstances. 150 million, I whispered. Exactly. But if I can prove adultery and fraud, she gets nothing. Not a single euro. He paused, letting that sink in. However, I need your help to make it stick. I need you to testify about what you know. I need you to help me expose their affair in a way that will be devastating, public, and legally airtight. And in exchange? He smiled. In exchange, I'll give you the $150 million she would have gotten. Plus, I'll make sure Marcus loses everything in your divorce. His reputation, his career, his freedom. My heart was pounding so hard I could barely hear him over the rush of blood in my ears. That's insane. Why would you give me that much money? Because they deserve to lose everything. Because I want revenge, Sophia, and I have the resources to get it. But I need a partner. Someone who wants this as badly as I do. He leaned in, his voice dropping to a whisper. Act now. This opportunity won't last. Tomorrow, I'm flying to Paris to finalize some arrangements. When I come back in 2 weeks, we either do this together, or I proceed alone and you get whatever scraps your lawyer can salvage from your marriage. I need time to think. No. His voice was firm. You need to decide right now. Are you in or are you out? I looked back through the terrace doors at the glittering party inside. Somewhere in there, Marcus and Vivian were probably laughing, probably planning their next rendezvous, probably thinking they'd gotten away with it all. I'm in, I heard myself say. Tell me what I need to do. Alexander's smile was triumphant. First, you need to not file those divorce papers. Not yet. We need Marcus to think everything is proceeding normally while we build our case. What else? You're going to get close to Vivian. Befriend her if you can stomach it. We need her to trust you, to let her guard down. Can you do that? The very thought made my stomach turn. I don't know if I can pretend to like the woman who's sleeping with my husband. You're stronger than you think. He touched my arm gently. I've watched you tonight. The way you held your head high, the way you didn't let anyone see you bleeding. You're a fighter, Sophia. Now it's time to fight back. He was right. I'd spent 3 weeks crying into my pillow, feeling like a victim, letting them win. But I wasn't a victim. I was a woman who'd built a successful career from nothing, who'd overcome every obstacle life had thrown at me. Okay, I said, feeling something shift inside me. Something hard and determined. I'll do it. Over the next 2 weeks, I put our plan into motion. I reached out to Vivian through a mutual acquaintance, suggesting we have lunch to discuss a potential collaboration between the gallery and her firm's foundation. She agreed, probably relishing the irony of befriending her lover's wife. We met at a trendy bistro in Soho. She was even more beautiful up close. All perfect skin and expensive highlights. I wanted to hate her, but I forced myself to smile, to laugh at her jokes, to play the part. I'm so glad we're finally doing this, Vivian said over an Equoise salad. I've always admired your work at the gallery. That means a lot, I replied, sipping my wine. I've heard wonderful things about your foundation's arts program. We talked for 2 hours. She was smart, cultured, charming. Everything I'd once thought I was. I could see why Marcus had been drawn to her. That made it hurt even more. But I kept my mask in place. By the end of lunch, we'd exchanged numbers and made plans to meet again. Vivian hugged me goodbye, and I had to fight the urge to push her away. You did beautifully, Alexander texted me later. He'd been watching from across the street. She suspects nothing. While I played my role, Alexander was busy in Paris, assembling his team of lawyers and investigators. He sent me encrypted messages daily, updating me on his progress. The case against Marcus and Vivian was growing stronger by the day. But something else was growing too. Something I hadn't anticipated. I was starting to like talking to Alexander. Our text conversations evolved from strategy sessions to something more personal. He told me about his life in Paris, about building his company from the ground up, about his 2 grown daughters who lived in London. I told him about my childhood in San Francisco, about my parents who'd immigrated from Taiwan with nothing, about my dreams for the gallery. "We're quite similar, you and I," he wrote one night. "We both married people who turned out to be strangers. Did you love her?" "In the beginning," I typed back. "I thought I did. But looking back, I think I loved the idea of her. The perfect wife, the perfect partnership." "What about you?" I stared at the question for a long time before answering. "Yes. I loved Marcus completely. That's what makes this so much worse." "I'm sorry, Sophia. You deserved better." Those 4 words made me cry harder than anything else had in weeks. When Alexander returned from Paris, he invited me to his penthouse in Tribeca. I knew I should say no, knew that meeting him alone was crossing a line. But I went anyway. His apartment was stunning, floor-to-ceiling windows, modern art on every wall, a grand piano in the corner. But what struck me most was how lived in it felt. How different from the sterile perfection of the home I shared with Marcus. "Wine," Alexander offered, already pouring 2 glasses of a deep red Bordeaux. "Please." I took the glass, our fingers brushing. There was a spark, undeniable and electric. "I have good news," he said, guiding me to the sofa. "My lawyers have finished compiling the evidence. We have everything we need, the affair, the embezzlement, all of it. We can move forward whenever you're ready." "How would it work?" "We file simultaneously. You file for divorce and immediately subpoena all of Marcus's financial records. I do the same with Vivian. Then we release the evidence of the embezzlement to the SEC and the FBI. By the end of the week, they'll both be facing criminal charges. And I get the money? Every penny. I've already had my lawyers draw up the contract." He pulled out a thick folder. $150 million, transferred to you in installments over the next 2 years to avoid raising suspicions. In exchange, you testify in both divorce proceedings and cooperate fully with the criminal investigation. I flipped through the pages, my hands shaking. This was real. This was actually happening. "There's one more thing," Alexander said quietly. "Something I need to tell you before you sign." I looked up at him, suddenly nervous. "What?" This started as revenge for me. A way to punish Vivian for what she'd done. But somewhere along the way, it became about something else. He set down his wine glass, turning to face me fully. "It became about you, Sophia. About getting to know you, about talking to you every day. About wanting to see you smile again." My breath caught. "Alexander, I'm not asking for anything," he continued. "I know this is complicated. I know you're going through hell right now. But I need you to know that this," he gestured at the contract, "this isn't contingent on anything romantic between us. The money is yours regardless. But after everything is settled, after the dust clears, I'd very much like to take you to dinner. A real dinner, not a strategy session." I should have said no. Should have told him it was too soon, too complicated, too much. But looking into his gray eyes, I found myself nodding. "I'd like that," I whispered. He smiled, and for the first time in weeks I felt something other than pain. I felt hope. I signed the contract that night. We set the date for the filings. 2 weeks from then, on a Monday morning. That would give me time to secure my personal assets and prepare for the storm that was coming. The next 2 weeks were a blur. I continued my charade with Vivian, even attending a cocktail party at her apartment with Marcus. Watching them pretend to be just colleagues, barely acknowledging each other while I knew exactly what they were doing in secret, it was almost amusing. Almost. Marcus, for his part, barely noticed my presence anymore. He'd stopped trying to make small talk, stopped asking about my day. We were ghosts haunting the same penthouse. "I'll be traveling for work next week," he mentioned one evening, not looking up from his laptop. "Singapore meetings." "With Vivian?" I asked innocently. He froze for just a second. "She'll be there, yes. Along with the rest of the team." Liar. According to Alexander's investigators, They'd booked a suite at the Raffles Hotel. Just the two of them. Have a good trip, I said sweetly. The night before the filings, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about everything that was about to change. By this time tomorrow, Marcus would know I discovered everything. So would Vivian. Their perfect little secret would be exposed to the world. My phone buzzed. A text from Alexander. Are you awake? Can't sleep, I replied. Me neither. Second thoughts. No. You. Not at all. They deserve this, Sophia. I know. But I'm scared. Of what? I thought for a long moment before typing. Of becoming someone I don't recognize. Someone who's capable of this level of destruction. His response came quickly. You're not destroying anything, Sophia. You're revealing the truth. There's a difference. You're taking back your power from people who stole it. That doesn't make you cruel. It makes you strong. I read his words 3 times, letting them sink in. He was right. This wasn't about revenge, not really. This was about justice. About refusing to be a victim. Thank you, I typed. For everything. Thank me after we win. Monday morning arrived cold and gray, matching my mood. I dressed carefully in a charcoal gray suit, my armor for the battle ahead. Marcus had already left for his Singapore trip, or so he thought. What he didn't know was that his flight would be cancelled at the last minute due to a security concern Alexander had arranged. He'd be stuck at JFK when the news broke. At precisely 9 a.m., my lawyer filed the divorce papers in Manhattan Family Court. At 9:01 a.m., Alexander's lawyer did the same in Paris. At 9:02 a.m., both legal teams released the evidence of embezzlement to the appropriate authorities. By 9:30 a.m., my phone was exploding. Marcus. What the fuck did you do? Vivian. You bitch. You planned this with Alexander, didn't you? My mother. Sophia, what's going on? It's all over the news. I ignored them all except for one message. It's done. Come to my place. We should be together when everything falls apart. I grabbed my coat and headed to Tribeca. Alexander met me at the door, pulling me into his arms without a word. I let myself sink into his embrace, feeling safe for the first time in months. The FBI is already at their offices, he murmured against my hair. They're seizing computers, freezing accounts. It's happening, Sophia. We spent the day watching the news coverage together. The story was everywhere. Investment firm partners accused of multi-million-dollar fraud. Affair and embezzlement rocked Manhattan finance world. Our names were splashed across every outlet. My phone kept ringing. I kept ignoring it. Around 6 p.m. my lawyer called with an update I couldn't ignore. Marcus wants to talk, she said. He's desperate, Sophia. He's offering you everything, the penthouse, his stake in the firm, full admission of the affair. He's begging you to drop the criminal charges. Can I even do that? No. The FBI doesn't need your cooperation anymore. They have all the evidence they need. But he doesn't know that. I thought about Marcus, probably sitting in some interrogation room, finally realizing that the woman he'd dismissed and betrayed had outsmarted him completely. Tell him I'll meet with him, I said. Tomorrow. Neutral location. Alexander raised an eyebrow when I told him. Are you sure? I need to look him in the eye. I need him to know that I won. We met at a coffee shop in Chelsea, deliberately public and impersonal. Marcus looked terrible. Unshaven, rumpled suit, dark circles under his eyes. The golden boy of Manhattan finance brought low. Sophia. He reached for my hand across the table. I pulled away. Don't. Please, you have to understand. It was a mistake. I love you. I've always loved you. You have a funny way of showing it. Vivian, she pursued me. I was weak. But it's over now, I swear. We can fix this. We can. There is no we, Marcus. There never really was there? I was just the perfect accessory. The brilliant curator wife who looked good at parties and didn't ask too many questions. That's not true. Isn't it? Tell me, when's the last time you asked me about my work? About my dreams? When's the last time you saw me as anything other than an extension of yourself? He opened his mouth but nothing came out. That's what I thought. I stood up. My lawyer will be in touch about the divorce settlement. And Marcus? Don't try to contact me again. What about the criminal charges? Sophia, please. I'm looking at 20 years in prison. You can make this stop. Just tell them you won't testify, that it's all a misunderstanding. I leaned down, my voice ice cold. You stole from people who trusted you. You betrayed me. You deserve everything that's coming. And I'm going to watch you fall. His face crumbled. I loved you. No, I said softly. You loved what I represented. There's a difference. I walked out without looking back. The next few months were a whirlwind of depositions, court appearances, and media attention. The tabloids had a field day with the story. Wronged wife's $150 million revenge. Art curator takes down cheating husband. I hated the attention but endured it. Because with each passing day, the case against Marcus and Vivian grew stronger. The FBI uncovered even more evidence of fraud than Alexander's investigators had found. They'd stolen over $40 million from clients over the course of 3 years. The divorce proceedings were brutal but swift. Marcus had no leverage, no bargaining position. He gave me everything I asked for just to try to convince me to testify in his favor at the criminal trial. I refused. Vivian's divorce was even uglier. She tried to claim that Alexander had orchestrated everything, that he'd framed her. But the evidence was overwhelming. She got nothing. Not the money, not the house in St. Tropez, not even her jewelry collection. By October, both Marcus and Vivian had pleaded guilty to avoid trial. Marcus got 15 years in federal prison. Vivian got 12. Their law licenses were revoked. Their reputations destroyed. Everything they built gone. And me? I got my life back. The first installment of Alexander's payment arrived the week after Marcus's sentencing. $75 million, deposited into an account I'd set up specifically for it. I stared at the number for a long time, not quite believing it was real. I don't know what to do with it all. Do what makes you happy. That's the best revenge of all. I thought about that for a long time. What'd make me happy? Art. Creating beauty. Helping others discover their passion for culture and creativity. I used $20 million to buy the building my gallery was in, securing its future. Another $10 million went to establishing a foundation for underprivileged students pursuing arts education. $5 million went to my parents, ensuring they'd never have to worry about money again. The rest I invested carefully, building a future that was entirely mine. As for Alexander and me, we took it slow. After everything settled down, he took me to Paris for that dinner he'd promised. We ate at a tiny bistro near the Seine, drank wine that cost more than my first car, and talked until the early hours of the morning. I'm not ready for anything serious, I told him honestly. I need time to figure out who I am outside of being Marcus's wife. I understand, he said, taking my hand. I'll wait as long as you need. He kept that promise. Over the next year we saw each other when we could. Dinners in New York, weekends in Paris, a magical week in Santorini where we finally admitted that we were falling in love. This is crazy, I said one evening watching the sunset from our villa. A year ago I thought my life was over. And now? Now you're free, Alexander finished. And so am I. Do you ever regret it? The revenge, I mean. He considered this. No. They made their choices. We simply ensured they faced the consequences. But I won't lie, the best part wasn't destroying them. It was finding you. I turned to face him, this man who'd offered me a lifeline when I was drowning. I love you, I said. The first time I'd said those words to anyone since Marcus. His smile was radiant. I love you too, Sophia. And unlike some people, I mean it. We got married 2 years after that first meeting on the terrace. A small ceremony in Provence, just our closest friends and family. My parents cried tears of joy. His daughters welcomed me warmly. It was perfect. I never saw Marcus again after that day in the coffee shop. I heard he was released early for good behavior after serving 8 years. Last I heard, he was working as an accountant in Cleveland, living in a studio apartment, still paying restitution to the people he'd defrauded. Vivian got out after 7 years. She moved back to France, but Alexander made sure she was persona non grata in Paris social circles. Last I heard, she was living in a small town in Provence, working at a real estate office. Part of me wonders if I should feel guilty about how completely we destroyed their lives. But then I remember the lies, the betrayal, the fraud. I remember how small they made me feel, how disposable. No, I don't feel guilty. Sometimes people ask me if I would have accepted Alexander's offer if I'd known how much it would change my life. If I'd known that saying yes to revenge would lead to love, to happiness, to becoming someone stronger than I ever imagined. The answer is simple. In a heartbeat. Because that night on the terrace, when a stranger offered me $150 million and whispered, "Act now," he wasn't just offering me money. He was offering me a choice. Stay a victim or become a survivor. I chose to survive. And in surviving, I learned to thrive. My gallery is now one of the most prestigious in New York. My foundation has helped over 1,000 students pursue their dreams. And every morning I wake up next to a man who sees me, really sees me, and loves what he finds. Marcus and Vivian took a lot from me. They took my trust, my innocence, my belief in forever. But in trying to destroy me, they gave me something far more valuable. The strength to rebuild myself into someone better, someone stronger, someone who knows her own worth. So yes, I asked for a divorce. And yes, my husband's mistress's husband offered me $150 million. But the real fortune wasn't the money. It was getting my life back. It was learning that sometimes the best revenge is living well. And it was discovering that sometimes, in the ashes of one marriage, you can find the foundation for a love that's real, true, and unbreakable. That night on the terrace changed everything. Alexander's whispered words, "Act now," were an invitation to take control of my own story. And I did. I acted. I won. And I've never looked back. 3 years after the wedding, I'm standing in my gallery at the opening of a new exhibition. Alexander's arm is around my waist. My parents are chatting with his daughters. The walls are covered with art that speaks to the resilience of the human spirit. A journalist approaches, wanting to interview me about my incredible journey. "What would you say to other women going through what you went through?" she asks. I think carefully before answering. I'd say this. Don't let anyone make you feel small. Don't stay somewhere you're not valued. And when opportunity knocks, even if it comes in the form of a stranger on a terrace offering you the world, have the courage to act. "And the money," she presses. "Do you think that's what made the difference?" I look at Alexander, at the life we've built together, at everything I've accomplished. "The money bought me freedom," I say honestly. "But I bought myself power." There's a difference. Money can open doors, but you have to be brave enough to walk through them. As the journalist walks away, Alexander kisses my temple. "Proud of you," he murmurs. "Proud of us." I correct him, because that's what we are now. Not a victim and her savior. Not a business arrangement. But two people who found each other in the darkest moment and chose to build something beautiful from the ruins. And that, I've learned, is worth more than any amount of money. Though the $150 million definitely doesn't hurt. The morning sun streams through the windows of our chateau in Provence, and I'm sitting at my desk overlooking the lavender fields, working on my memoir. Alexander insisted I write it. Said the world needed to hear my story from my own lips, not filtered through tabloid headlines and sensationalized articles. Chapter 12. I murmur to myself, fingers poised over the keyboard. This is the hard part. Writing about the aftermath, about the pieces I had to pick up after everything fell apart. What the world doesn't know, what I've never told anyone except Alexander and my therapist, is that winning didn't feel like winning at first. 4 months after Marcus and Vivian were sentenced, I was a mess. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, panic attacks gripping my chest, wondering if I'd become the villain in my own story. "You're being too hard on yourself," my therapist, Dr. Morrison, had told me during one particularly difficult session. "You exposed criminals. You protected future victims. That's not villainy, that's courage." But it took me a long time to believe that. The phone on my desk buzzes. It's my assistant, Jennifer, calling from the New York gallery. "Sophia, you need to see this," she says, her voice tight with excitement. "The Times just published their feature on the foundation. It's front page of the art section." I pull up the article on my laptop. There's a photo of me at last month's scholarship ceremony, surrounded by 20 beaming students who just received full rides to prestigious art schools. The headline reads, "From Betrayal to Benevolence. How Sophia Loren Built an Empire of Opportunity." Lauren. I'd taken Alexander's name 2 years ago, finally ready to shed the last remnant of my life with Marcus. It's beautiful, Jen, I say, my voice catching. Make sure we send copies to all the donors. After we hang up, I sit back in my chair, thinking about those 20 students. Kids from backgrounds like mine, immigrant families, working-class neighborhoods, places where art school seemed like an impossible dream. Each one of them represented a chance I'd been given, a door I could open for someone else. That's what I'd done with the money. Not all of it, of course, I'm not a saint. I'd bought this chateau, invested in several properties, secured my future. But the bulk of it had gone into the foundation, into the gallery's expansion, into creating opportunities for others. Making them pay wasn't enough, I told Alexander one night, about a year after the trials. I need to make their destruction mean something. Something good. He'd understood. He always understood. The foundation now operates in 12 cities across the United States. We've given out over 200 full scholarships. We've funded community art centers in underserved neighborhoods. We've commissioned works from emerging artists who'd never have gotten a chance otherwise. Last year, one of our scholarship recipients, a brilliant young woman from the Bronx named Maria, had her work displayed at the Whitney. She'd cried in my arms at the opening, thanking me over and over. You didn't just give me money, she'd said. You gave me permission to dream. That's when I knew. That's when I finally felt like the money was truly mine, like I'd earned it not through revenge but through what I'd built with it. My phone buzzes again. This time it's a text from Alexander. Look outside. Frowning, I walk to the window. There in the driveway is Alexander standing next to a vintage convertible, a 1960s Mercedes-Benz cherry red, gleaming in the sunlight. I rush downstairs and out the front door. What is this? I laugh, running my hand along the pristine paint job. An anniversary present. 5 years since that night on the terrace. He pulls me close, kissing my forehead. 5 years since you took the biggest risk of your life. You mean saying yes to your crazy plan? I mean trusting a stranger when you had every reason not to trust anyone. I look up at him, this man who'd been a stranger once but now knows me better than anyone ever has. Best decision I ever made. Second best. He corrects with a grin. The best was marrying me. I laugh, kissing him properly. Modest as always. We take the car out for a drive through the countryside, top down, wind in our hair. It feels like something out of a movie. The kind of perfect moment I never thought I'd have again after my marriage to Marcus imploded. I got a letter yesterday, I say as we cruise past a village. From Marcus. Alexander's hands tighten on the steering wheel. What did it say? He's out on parole. Has been for 6 months apparently. Living in Ohio, working as a consultant for a small firm. I pause. He wants to meet. Says he wants to apologize in person to make amends. And what do you want? It's such a simple question, but it makes me pause. What do I want? 5 years ago, I'd have wanted to gloat, to show him everything I'd become without him. 3 years ago, I'd have wanted nothing to do with him at all. Now, I think I want closure, I say slowly. Real closure. Not the kind you get from a courtroom or a divorce decree, but the kind where you face someone who hurt you and realize they don't have power over you anymore. Alexander nods. Then you should meet him. But not alone. I'll come with you. To Ohio? Anywhere you need to go, my love. Always. We schedule the meeting for 2 weeks later. In a coffee shop in Columbus. Alexander insists on flying us there in his private jet, refusing to let me take a commercial flight. If you're going to face your demons, he says, you're going to do it in style. The night before the meeting, I barely sleep. I keep running through scenarios in my head, what Marcus will say, what I'll say back, whether I'll feel anger or pity or nothing at all. Stop thinking so loud, Alexander murmurs from beside me in bed. You're keeping me awake. Sorry. What if I'm not ready for this? He rolls over, propping himself up on one elbow. Then we leave. Simple as that. Sophia, you don't owe him anything. Not forgiveness, not closure, not even 5 minutes of your time. You're doing this for you. And if at any point it doesn't serve you, we walk away. His words calm me. By morning I feel ready. Marcus is already at the coffee shop when we arrive. He looks older, grayer hair, deeper lines around his eyes, a weariness that prison and regret have etched into his features. When he sees me walk in, something flickers across his face. Pain maybe. Or shame. Sophia. He stands awkward and uncertain. His eyes flick to Alexander. And, you. Alexander Laurent, my husband says coolly, extending a hand. We've never been formally introduced. Marcus doesn't take the hand. He looks at me instead. Is this really necessary? Him being here? Yes, I say simply, sliding into a chair across from him. Alexander sits beside me. His presence solid and reassuring. We order coffee, none of us touch it. The silence stretches out, awkward and heavy. Finally Marcus speaks. Thank you for coming. I wasn't sure you would. I almost didn't. I wanted to tell you I'm sorry. For everything. For the affair, for the lies, for all of it. His voice cracks. I destroyed the best thing in my life because I was selfish and stupid and... Stop. My voice is calm but firm. I didn't come here for your apology, Marcus. I came here to tell you that I forgive you. He blinks, stunned. You what? I forgive you. Not because you deserve it, but because I deserve peace. I've spent 5 years rebuilding my life, becoming someone I'm proud of. And the last piece of that is letting go of the anger I've carried for you. Tears stream down his face. Sophia, let me finish. I lean forward. I forgive you for cheating. I forgive you for lying. I even forgive you for the embezzlement, even though that hurt people who weren't me. But here's what I won't do. I won't forget. I won't pretend it didn't happen. And I won't let you back into my life in any capacity. I understand, he whispers. Do you? Because I need you to really understand this, Marcus. What you did, it broke me. For months I couldn't trust my own judgment. I couldn't look at myself in the mirror without wondering what was wrong with me that made you look elsewhere. Nothing was wrong with you, he bursts out. It was all me. You were perfect. You are perfect. I'm not perfect. But I didn't deserve what you did to me. No one does. I pause, gathering my thoughts. I've moved on. I have a husband who actually sees me, who values me, who would never dream of betraying me. I have work I love, a life I've built from scratch. I'm happy, Marcus. Truly, genuinely happy. I'm glad, he says, and I can hear that he means it. You deserve to be happy. You could have made me happy, I say quietly. If you'd just been honest. If you told me you were unhappy instead of sneaking around. We could have ended things with dignity instead of destruction. I know. God, Sophia, I know. I think about it every day, what I threw away, who I hurt. Vivian and I, He stops, shaking his head. It wasn't even real. What we had. It was just excitement. Forbidden fruit. The second we were both in prison, the second the fantasy ended, there was nothing left. Have you talked to her? Since you got out? No. And I never will. She blames me for everything, and maybe she's right to. I was the senior partner. I should have stopped it all before it started. Alexander speaks for the first time. You should have. But you didn't. And now you both get to live with the consequences. Marcus looks at him. You got everything, didn't you? The money, the girl, the victory. I got nothing, Alexander says coldly. My wife's betrayal cost me years of my life, my ability to trust, my peace of mind. What I got was a chance to start over. So did Sophia. That's not a prize, it's survival. The truth of his words hangs in the air. What will you do now? I ask Marcus, not out of concern but out of curiosity. Rebuild, I guess. I'm working with a firm that helps white-collar ex-convicts reintegrate into society. It doesn't pay much, but it's honest work. I'm writing. About what happened. About my mistakes. My therapist thinks it might help others avoid the same pitfalls. That's good, I say, and mean it. I hope you find peace, Marcus. Real peace. He nods, wiping his eyes. Can I ask you something? You can ask. Do you think you'll ever be able to remember the good parts? Of us, I mean. Before everything went wrong. I consider this carefully. Maybe. Someday. Right now it all feels tainted. But I hope eventually I'll be able to look back and remember that once, a long time ago, I loved someone and he loved me back. Even if it didn't last. We were good once, he says softly. Weren't we? We were young once, I correct. We thought we knew what love was. Turns out we were both wrong. I stand and Alexander stands with me. Marcus rises too, uncertainty written across his face. Goodbye, Marcus, I say, extending my hand. He takes it, holding on perhaps a moment too long. Goodbye, Sophia. And thank you for giving me this chance to say I'm sorry. You're welcome. As we walk out of the coffee shop, Alexander wraps his arm around my waist. How do you feel? Lighter, I say, surprised by the truth of it. Like I just set down a suitcase I've been carrying for 5 years. Good. Now let's go home. Home. Not the penthouse in Manhattan where I'd lived with Marcus. Not even the Tribeca apartment where Alexander and I had plotted our revenge. Home was the chateau in Provence, the brownstone we'd bought in Brooklyn, the villa in Santorini where we spent our summers. Home was wherever we were together. 6 months after the meeting with Marcus, my memoir hits the shelves. Act Now. How I Took Back My Life and Built an Empire becomes an instant bestseller. The book tour is exhausting but exhilarating. City after city, interview after interview, women coming up to me with tears in their eyes saying, "Your story gave me the courage to leave." That's what makes it all worthwhile. At a reading in Chicago, a woman in her 40s raises her hand during the Q&A. Weren't you afraid? Of the revenge plan, I mean. It could have backfired so badly. Terrified, I admit. Every single day. But I was more afraid of staying in a marriage where I wasn't valued, of letting them get away with hurting not just me but dozens of other people. Sometimes fear is a compass. It shows you what matters most. At another event in Seattle, someone asks, "Do you ever feel guilty about how harshly Marcus and Vivian were punished?" I pause, considering my answer carefully. I feel responsible for my actions, for agreeing to Alexander's plan, for testifying, for using my resources to fight back. But guilty? No. They made choices that hurt people. They broke laws. They destroyed trust. The punishment fit the crime. But couldn't you have just divorced him quietly? Did you have to go nuclear? If it had been just the affair, maybe, I say. But it wasn't just the affair. They were stealing from people, from retirees who trusted them with their life savings, from young families trying to build futures. If I'd walked away quietly, they'd have kept doing it. They'd have hurt more people. So no, I don't regret going nuclear. I regret that it was necessary. The audience applauds and I feel Alexander's hand squeeze mine from the front row. That night, back in our hotel room, I collapse on the bed. 3 more cities, I groan. Then I'm done with this tour. You're doing important work, Alexander says, bringing me a glass of wine. Look at this. He shows me his phone. A message from a reader. Your book saved my life. I was planning to stay with my abusive husband because I didn't think I had options. Reading your story showed me that I have power, that I can fight back. I filed for divorce yesterday. Thank you. I read the message twice, 3 times, tears streaming down my face. This is why, I whisper. This is why we did all of it. Exactly. The book sells over 1 million copies in the first 6 months. The foundation receives a flood of donations. People inspired by the story, wanting to contribute to the scholarships and programs. We're able to expand to 20 cities. But with the success comes unwanted attention. Vivian's lawyer reaches out, claiming the book defames his client, threatening a lawsuit. My legal team shuts it down immediately. Every word in the book is documented and true. But it's a reminder that some wounds never fully heal. Then there's the documentary. A filmmaker wants to make a feature about the case. Interviews with everyone involved. I decline, but Marcus agrees to participate. So does Vivian, surprisingly. When the documentary airs on Netflix, I watch it with Alexander, my stomach in knots. Seeing Vivian on screen is jarring. She looks different, older, harder, her blonde hair now a dull brown. She sits in a modest apartment somewhere in France, talking about her mistakes and how she's rebuilding her life. I was caught up in something I couldn't control, she says to the camera. The affair was wrong, yes. But the embezzlement, that was mostly Marcus. I was just following his lead. Liar. Alexander hisses beside me. The documentary shows both sides. My interview that I'd done for print media, Marcus's tearful confession, Vivian's deflections. It shows the court proceedings, the evidence, the victims who'd lost their savings. One of those victims, a retired teacher named Margaret Chun, no relation, speaks directly to the camera. They took everything from me. My retirement fund, my security, my peace of mind. I'm 73 years old and I'm working at a grocery store because of them. If it weren't for Mrs. Lawrence Foundation helping me with legal fees, I wouldn't have gotten any restitution at all. That's the moment that breaks me. Seeing the real human cost of what Marcus and Vivian had done, seeing how our revenge had helped people like Margaret get justice, it validates everything. We did the right thing, I say to Alexander. We did, he agrees. But not everyone sees it that way. The documentary sparks a debate online. Some people praise me as a hero, a woman who fought back against betrayal and corruption. Others call me vindictive, argue that I took revenge too far. You destroyed 2 lives, one commenter writes. For what? Money? Pride? You're no better than they are. I read the criticism and try not to let it get to me, but Alexander sees through my brave face. Talk to me, he says one evening, finding me staring out at the lavender fields. What if they're right? What if I am vindictive? Sophia, look at me. He turns me to face him. Vindictive would have been ruining them for revenge alone. But that's not what you did. You exposed crimes. You protected future victims. You took the money you received and used it to help others. That's not vindictive. That's justice with compassion. I wanted them to hurt, I admit. When we planned it all, I wanted them to feel even a fraction of the pain they'd caused me. And that's human. You're allowed to be human. He cups my face in his hands. But you're also allowed to be proud of what you've built. Don't let trolls on the internet make you question that. He's right, of course. He's always right. 7 years after that night on the terrace, I receive an unexpected call. It's from Maria, the scholarship recipient who'd shown at the Whitney. Sophia, I need your help, she says, her voice shaking. Not for me, for my sister. What's wrong? She's in an abusive relationship. Her boyfriend controls all the money, isolates her from family, monitors everything she does. She wants to leave but she's terrified and broke and doesn't know where to start. My heart breaks. Where are you? New York. Can you meet with us? 2 days later, I'm sitting in a coffee shop in Queens with Maria and her sister Rosa. Rosa is 25, beautiful and broken. With a bruise on her cheek she's tried to cover with makeup. Tell me everything, I say gently. Rosa's story pours out. 3 years of emotional abuse, financial control, threats, isolation. She works 2 jobs but her boyfriend takes all the money. She's tried to leave twice and both times he found her, convinced her to come back. I don't know what to do, she sobs. I have nowhere to go. No money. No support. I reach across the table and take her hand. Yes, you do. You have me. Over the next month I help Rosa escape. We find her a safe house, a new job, legal representation. I pay for her therapy, her new apartment's deposit, her phone so her boyfriend can't track her. When he tries to find her, my security team handles it. Costs me maybe $50,000 total. A drop in the bucket of what I have. But the look on Rosa's face when she moves into her own place, when she realizes she's truly free, that's priceless. Why are you doing this? She asks me, tears streaming down her face. You don't even know me. Because someone took a chance on me once, I say. When I was broken and scared and didn't see a way forward. And because I have the resources to help, which means I have the responsibility to help. Rosa hugs me tight. I'm going to pay you back. I swear. As soon as I'm on my feet. No, I interrupt. You're going to pay it forward. Someday when you're stable and strong, you're going to help another woman who needs it. That's how we break the cycle. She nods, understanding. Helping Rosa opens a new chapter for the foundation. We start a program specifically for women leaving abusive relationships, financial assistance, legal help, job training, therapy. In the first year, we help 43 women escape and rebuild their lives. By year 2, it's over 100. I call it the Act Now initiative, and it becomes the part of my work I'm most proud of. Alexander, watching me throw myself into this new mission, just smiles. You found your purpose, he says. I thought my purpose was the gallery, the scholarships. That was your foundation, he interrupts. This is your purpose. Helping women find their power. Just like you found yours. He's right. Every woman I help feels like closing the circle. Like transforming my pain into someone else's freedom. The unexpected visitor. 8 years after everything began. I'm at the gallery in New York when Jennifer tells me there's someone asking to see me. She won't give her name, Jennifer says. But she says it's about Marcus Chun and it's urgent. My heart skips. Has something happened to Marcus? Despite everything, I don't wish him harm. Send her in, I say. The woman who walks into my office is young, mid-20s maybe, with nervous eyes and wringing hands. Mrs. Laurent? I'm sorry to bother you. My name is Emily. Emily Chun. Chin. My blood runs cold. Are you related to Marcus? He's my father. I sit down heavily. I didn't know Marcus had a daughter. From his first marriage. Before you. We weren't close. He left my mom when I was 3. She perches on the edge of a chair. I tracked you down because I didn't know where else to go. What's wrong? My dad, he's sick. Cancer. Stage 4. The doctors say he has maybe 6 months. Tears fill her eyes. He's been trying to reach out to me to reconnect before he dies. And I don't know what to do. I've been so angry at him for so long, for abandoning us, and now you're wondering if you should forgive him before it's too late. I finish softly. She nods, wiping her eyes. I read your book. About meeting with him, about forgiving him even though you didn't forget. And I thought, maybe you could help me figure out what to do. I pour us both tea, my hands remarkably steady despite the bomb she's just dropped. Emily, I can't tell you what to do. Every situation is different. Every relationship unique. But you forgave him. Even after everything. I did. But forgiveness isn't a one-size-fits-all thing. For me, it was about releasing my own anger. About not letting his betrayal poison my future. But you? You're his daughter. That's a completely different relationship. Did you mean it? When you forgave him? I consider this. Yes. But it took years to get there and a lot of therapy. Forgiveness isn't a switch you flip. It's a journey. Some days I still get angry when I think about what he did. But most days I just feel neutral. Like it's a story that happened to someone else. I don't know if I can do that. Be neutral. He wasn't just a bad husband to you. He was a bad father to me. Then don't. You don't owe him forgiveness, Emily. You don't owe him anything. But what if I regret it? What if he dies and I never gave him a chance to explain, to apologize? I lean forward. Let me ask you this. What do you want? Not what you think you should want, not what would make you a good daughter. But what does your heart actually want? She's quiet for a long moment. I want to understand why. Why he left. Why he never fought for me. Why I wasn't enough to make him stay. Then go ask him those questions. You don't have to forgive him. You don't have to absolve him. But you can get the answers you deserve. Will you come with me? The question tumbles out. I know it's crazy, but you're the only person who understands what he did, who he is. And I'm scared to face him alone. I should say no. Marcus is my past, a chapter I've closed. Getting involved in this feels like reopening old wounds. But looking at Emily's pleading eyes, I see myself 8 years ago. Scared, alone, desperate for someone to understand. Okay, I hear myself say. I'll come with you. Alexander is surprisingly understanding when I tell him. You're doing this for her, not him. He says. I get it. You're sure? Because I can say no. Sophia. He kisses me gently. You have the biggest heart of anyone I know. It's one of the reasons I love you. Go help this girl get closure. I'll be here when you get back. Emily and I fly to Columbus 3 days later. Marcus is in hospice care now. His body ravaged by the cancer that's eating him alive. When we walk into his room, I barely recognize him. He's skeletal, his skin gray, his eyes sunken. Amy, he breathes. You came. Don't call me that, she says, her voice hard. You lost the right to pet names when you walked out. His face falls. I know, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I hang back, letting them have their moment. But Marcus sees me. Sophia? You brought Sophia. She offered to come, Emily says. I needed support. Of course you did. And she gave it to you because that's who she is. He looks at me. Thank you. For being there for my daughter when I wasn't. I'm not here for you, I say quietly. I'm here for her. He nods, understanding. For the next hour, Emily and Marcus talk. She asks her questions. Why did you leave? Why didn't you fight for custody? Why did you never call on my birthdays? He answers truthfully, tears streaming down his face. He talks about being young and stupid, about prioritizing his career, about being too proud to admit he'd made a mistake. He talks about shame keeping him away, about convincing himself Emily was better off without him. But I thought about you every day, he says. Every single day. Thoughts don't mean anything, Emily says coldly. Actions do. And you did nothing. I know. God, Emily, I know. I failed you. Just like I failed Sophia, just like I failed everyone I ever claimed to love. I'm a failure as a husband, as a father, as a man. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. Emily snaps. I didn't come here for your pity party. I came here for answers. Then ask me anything. I'll tell you the truth. Did you ever love my mother? Yes. Very much. But I was too immature to know what to do with that love. Did you love Sophia? He looks at me. Yes. More than I knew how to express. I took her for granted, thought she'd always be there no matter what I did. By the time I realized how much I needed her, it was too late. Do you regret it? The affair, the fraud, all of it. Every second of every day. Prison was hell, but it was nothing compared to living with what I did, who I hurt. Emily is quiet for a long moment. Then, I don't forgive you. Marcus closes his eyes. I understand. But, she continues, I don't want to carry this anger anymore either. So I'm letting it go. Not for you, for me. I'm choosing to stop letting your abandonment define me. That's all I could ever ask for, he whispers. We stay for another 30 minutes, the conversation growing easier. Marcus asks about Emily's life. Her job as a teacher, her boyfriend, her dreams. He listens with genuine interest, pride shining through his regret. As we're leaving, he calls my name. Sophia? One more thing. I pause at the door. I'm glad you're happy. With Alexander, with your life. You deserve all of it. And I'm sorry I wasn't the man who could give it to you. I am too, I say honestly. But everything worked out the way it was supposed to. Did it? He coughs, wincing. You had to go through hell because of me. Maybe. But that hell led me to where I am now. So in a weird way, thank you. For being a terrible husband. Because it taught me what I actually deserved. He laughs, a broken sound. Only you could find a way to thank me for destroying your life. You didn't destroy it. You destroyed a version of it. I built something better from the rubble. As Emily and I walk out of the hospice, she grabs my hand. Thank you, she says. For coming. For understanding. How do you feel? Lighter. Sad but lighter. Is that weird? Not at all. That's exactly how closure should feel. Marcus dies 2 weeks later. Emily calls to tell me, her voice steady but sad. Do you want me to come to the funeral? I offer. No. But thank you for offering. I think this is something I need to do on my own. Close this chapter by myself. I understand. Call me if you need anything. I will. And Sophia? I'm applying to your foundation. For a grant to start an after-school art program for at-risk kids. I know it's probably weird considering. It's not weird. Send me the application. I'll make sure it gets a fair review. Not special treatment. Just fair treatment. If your program is good, you'll get the grant. If it's not, you won't. She laughs. Fair enough. 3 months later, Emily's program gets funded. Not because she's Marcus's daughter, but because her proposal is brilliant. A comprehensive program combining art therapy with mentorship for kids in the foster system. When I tell Alexander about it that night, he just shakes his head in wonder. Only you could turn your ex-husband's deathbed reunion with his estranged daughter into a grant opportunity. I didn't. I'm teasing. It's admirable. You're admirable. He pulls me close. Have I told you lately that you're the most extraordinary person I've ever met? Not in the past hour, I say, smiling. Well, you are. And I'm the luckiest man alive. A decade after that night on the terrace, I'm giving a keynote speech at a women's leadership conference in San Francisco. The ballroom holds 2,000 people, and every seat is filled. I stand at the podium, looking out at the sea of faces, and think about everything that's brought me to this moment. 10 years ago, I was broken. My husband had betrayed me. My marriage was ending. I felt powerless and small and lost. And then a stranger offered me a choice. Stay a victim or take control of my story. I tell them about Alexander's proposal, about the decision I made, about the journey that followed. I won't lie and say it was easy, I continue. Fighting back, exposing the truth, rebuilding my life. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. Some days I wanted to give up. Some days I wondered if I'd made the wrong choice. But here's what I learned. You are not defined by what happens to you. You're defined by how you respond. And when someone offers you a chance to take back your power, to act now instead of waiting for someone else to save you, take it. But here's what I learned. The applause is thunderous. After the speech, women line up to talk to me. They tell me their stories of divorce, betrayal, abuse, survival. Each one breaks my heart and fills it simultaneously. One woman, probably in her 60s, grabs my hands. My husband left me after 40 years for his secretary. Everyone told me to just accept the divorce settlement his lawyer offered, to be grateful for anything. But after reading your book, I hired my own lawyer and fought. I got what I actually deserved. Good for you, I say, squeezing her hands. You should be proud. I am. For the first time in my life, I actually am. That night, back in our hotel suite, I find Alexander on the balcony, looking out at the Bay Bridge lights. Penny, for your thoughts? I ask, wrapping my arms around him from behind, just thinking about how far we've come. 10 years ago, we were two wounded people plotting revenge. Now look at us. Happily married, running a foundation that helps thousands of people, living our best lives. I list. Exactly. We won, Sophia. Not just against Marcus N. 12 years after our story began, the foundation hosts its largest scholarship ceremony yet. We're awarding full rides to 50 students, the most we've ever done in a single year. I'm standing backstage reviewing my speech when Jennifer rushes up. Sophia, you need to come to the green room. Now. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. Just, you need to see this. In the green room I find Rosa, the woman I'd helped escape her abusive boyfriend 8 years ago. But she's not alone. She's standing with a group of 20 women, all dressed professionally, all wearing confident smiles. Rosa? What's going on? She steps forward, beaming. Sophia, I want you to meet the graduates of the first class of the Rosa Rivera Women's Empowerment Center. I stare at her. You started a center? You inspired me. After everything you did for me, I wanted to do the same for others. So I went back to school, got my degree in social work, and opened a center in Queens. We provide housing, job training, legal assistance, and therapy for women leaving abusive relationships. Tears stream down my face. Rosa, this is incredible. It wouldn't exist without you. You saved my life, gave me the resources to rebuild. Now I'm doing the same for others. These 20 women, she gestures at the group. They all came through our program. They all escaped. They all rebuilt. And they all wanted to be here today to thank you. The women surround me, each one sharing their story. How they found Rosa's center. How they left their abusers. How they're now thriving, working as teachers, nurses, accountants, small business owners. You started a chain reaction, one woman tells me. You helped Rosa. Rosa helped me. Now I'm helping others. That's when I lose it completely, sobbing happy tears as these incredible women hug me. At the ceremony, I scrap my prepared speech and tell the audience about Rosa instead. About how one act of kindness 12 years ago, Alexander offering me a choice, has rippled outward, creating waves of change I never could have imagined. We throw the word empowerment around a lot, I say. But true empowerment isn't just about feeling strong. It's about using your strength to lift others. It's about transforming your pain into someone else's freedom. It's about saying act now, when someone needs to hear it most. The standing ovation lasts 5 minutes. After the ceremony, Alexander finds me in the crowd. That was beautiful. But you do know you just made everyone cry, right? Happy tears count. They do. He kisses my temple. I'm proud of you. Of everything you've built. We built, I correct. I couldn't have done any of this without you. Maybe. But you're the one who turned money into meaning. Vivian's letter. 13 years after everything began, I receive a letter forwarded through my publisher. The return address is from France, no name. I almost throw it away, assuming it's fan mail I don't have time for. But something makes me open it. The handwriting is elegant, vaguely familiar. Dear Sophia, I'm sure the last person you want to hear from is me. I wouldn't blame you if you tore this letter up without reading it. But on the off chance that you do read it, I wanted to say something I should have said 13 years ago. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the affair. I'm sorry for the lies. I'm sorry for the role I played in the fraud that hurt so many people. I spent 7 years in prison thinking about what I'd done, who I'd hurt and why. Therapy helped. So did time. What I realized is that I was broken long before I met Marcus. I chased the affair because I was empty inside, trying to fill a void with excitement and danger. I participated in the fraud because I wanted power, wanted to feel important. None of that excuses my actions, but it helps me understand them. I'm writing because I want you to know that I don't blame you for what happened. You and Alexander did what you had to do. We deserve to be exposed, to face consequences. If anything, prison probably saved my life. It forced me to confront who I'd become. I'm 47 now, living in a small village in Provence, working as a translator. It's quiet, simple work. Nothing like the life I had before. But it's honest. And for the first time in my life, I'm at peace with who I am. I read your book. I've followed the Foundation's work. What you've built from the ashes of what we destroyed, it's remarkable. You took the worst thing that ever happened to you and turned it into something that helps thousands of people. That takes a strength I never had. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I wanted you to know that I'm genuinely happy you found happiness. You deserved better than Marcus. Better than both of us. I hope you never have to think about me again after reading this. You've moved on, built a beautiful life. You should live it without the weight of our mistakes holding you back. With sincere regret and genuine admiration, Vivian. I read the letter 3 times, emotions swirling. Anger that she had the audacity to reach out. Sadness for the broken woman revealed between the lines. Relief that she's found some measure of peace. Confusion about how to feel about any of it. I show the letter to Alexander that night. What do you want to do? He asks after reading it. I don't know. Part of me wants to ignore it. Part of me wants to write back. Part of me just feels tired. Then do nothing. You don't owe her a response. But what if she needs closure? Sophia. He takes my hands. You are not responsible for Vivian's healing. You're not responsible for anyone's healing but your own. If writing back would bring you peace, then do it. But if you're only considering it because you feel obligated, don't. He's right. I sit with the question for a week, trying to figure out what I actually want. Finally, I write back. Vivian, I received your letter. Thank you for the apology, though you're right, it doesn't change what happened. I'm glad you found peace. Truly. Not because you deserve it, but because everyone deserves a chance at redemption if they're willing to do the work. I'm not going to say I forgive you. That wouldn't be honest. But I will say this. I don't think about you anymore. You're a chapter in my life that's closed. What you did hurt me terribly, but it also led me to where I am now. And I like where I am. I hope you continue building an honest life. I hope you use your experience to help others avoid the mistakes you made. And I hope you find genuine happiness. Not the counterfeit kind we were all chasing 13 years ago. This is the last communication we'll have. Not out of anger, but because there's nothing more to say. We're on different paths now, and that's how it should be. Goodbye, Sophia. I mail the letter and feel the final piece of that old life fall away. Vivian is no longer my villain. She's just a woman who made terrible choices and is trying to live with them. How do you feel? Alexander asks when I tell him I've sent the response. Free, I say. Finally, completely free. The 20th anniversary. 20 years after that fateful night on the terrace, We host a gala celebrating 2 decades of the Foundation's work. The venue is the Metropolitan Museum, full circle to where Alexander and I first met. The guest list is a who's who of our lives. Scholarship recipients who are now doctors, lawyers, artists, teachers. Women who've rebuilt their lives through our domestic violence programs. Rosa and her team from the Empowerment Center. Emily, who now runs 3 after-school art programs across New York. Our family, Alexander's daughters and their children, my parents, still going strong in their 80s. I'm wearing a custom gown, emerald green silk that Alexander says makes my eyes sparkle. My hair, now shot through with silver, is swept up elegantly. I look at myself in the mirror and see not just a survivor, but a warrior who's earned her peace. The gala is everything I could have hoped for. We announce our largest scholarship class yet. 100 students. We unveil plans for expansion into international programs. We present awards to volunteers and supporters who've made it all possible. But the highlight of the night is when Rosa takes the stage. 20 years ago, she says, Sophia Laurentian saved my life. She gave me the resources to escape, to rebuild, to thrive. And she taught me that the best way to honor that gift was to pass it forward. She gestures and the lights come up on the balcony. There are over 200 women standing there, all graduates of her Empowerment Center. These women, Rosa continues, voice breaking, represent 200 stories of survival, 200 new beginnings, 200 lives transformed. And it all started with one woman who decided that her pain could become someone else's freedom. The room erupts in applause. I'm crying, Alexander is crying, everyone is crying. Later, during the dancing, Alexander pulls me close. 20 years, he murmurs. Can you believe it? Some days it feels like a lifetime ago. Other days it feels like yesterday. Do you ever regret it? Any of it? I think about the question seriously. I regret that it was necessary. I regret that Marcus and I couldn't work things out honestly. I regret the pain we all went through. But the outcome? No. I don't regret where we ended up. Even the revenge? The calculated destruction of their lives. They destroyed their own lives, I say firmly. We just held up a mirror. And yes, even that. Because without it, we wouldn't have each other. The Foundation wouldn't exist. 200 women wouldn't have found freedom. Sometimes destruction is necessary for creation. He spins me in a gentle circle. You've become very wise in your old age. We're 63, not 90. Still, look at everything we've built. Look at the legacy we're leaving. I glance around the ballroom, at the scholarship recipients networking with potential employers, at Rosa's graduates sharing their stories, at Emily showing photos of her art programs to potential donors. Not bad for a plan that started with revenge, I say. The best revenge, Alexander quotes, is living well. And helping others live well too. As the night winds down, a young woman approaches me. She's in her early 20s wearing a simple black dress, nervously clutching a glass of champagne. Mrs. Laurent? I'm sorry to interrupt, but I wanted to thank you. Of course. What's your name? Sarah. I'm a first-year student at Pratt studying art therapy. I got one of your scholarships. That's wonderful. How are you liking it so far? It's amazing. Life-changing. But that's not why I wanted to thank you. She takes a deep breath. I read your book when I was 17. My parents had just gotten divorced. My dad had an affair, left my mom with nothing. She was devastated. I was so angry. I'm sorry you went through that. Your book saved us. It showed my mom that she could fight back, that she deserved more than what he was offering. She hired a good lawyer, got a fair settlement. But more than that, she found her strength again. And watching her rebuild her life, it inspired me to pursue art therapy. I want to help other people heal the way you helped my mom. Tears pricked my eyes. That means everything to me. Thank you for telling me. No, thank you. For being brave enough to share your story. For showing women that we don't have to accept what we're given. That we can demand better. After she walks away, Alexander wraps his arms around me. Still think you took revenge too far? He teases gently. No, I admit. I think we did exactly what we were supposed to do. Epilogue, the letter. 25 years after that night on the terrace, I'm sitting in our library in Provence writing a letter. Not for publication, not for the Foundation's newsletter, but for Alexander. He's been feeling his age lately, we both have. His knees hurt, my back aches, we both need reading glasses. We're 88 and 89 years old, and while we're still sharp and active, we know our time is finite. So I'm writing him a letter, something he can read after I'm gone. Something to remind him of everything we built, everything we meant to each other. My dearest Alexander, if you're reading this, I'm gone. I'm so sorry to have left you. I know how much it hurts. I've spent 25 years terrified of losing you. But life is what it is, and death comes for us all eventually. I wanted to write down what you've meant to me so you never forget. 25 years ago, you offered me a lifeline when I was drowning. You saw me, really saw me when I felt invisible. You gave me not just money but purpose. Not just revenge but justice. Not just a plan but a partnership. You've been my rock, my champion, my best friend. You've supported every crazy idea I've had, dried every tear I've cried, celebrated every victory no matter how small. You've loved me through my worst moments and my best ones. Never wavering, never doubting. The Foundation, the programs, the thousands of lives we've touched. None of it would exist without you. You weren't just my partner in revenge. You were my partner in redemption. I need you to know something. I never once regretted saying yes that night on the terrace. Not when things got hard, not when people criticized us, not ever. You gave me back my life and I got to spend that life loving you. That's the greatest gift anyone ever gave me. Don't mourn too long, my love. Live. Keep supporting the Foundation. Keep helping people. Keep being the incredible man I fell in love with. And when your time comes, when you're ready to rest, know that I'll be waiting. We'll have eternity to dance under the stars, to talk until dawn, to love each other without the constraints of mortal life. Thank you for everything. Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for giving me the courage to act. Forever yours, Sophia. I seal the letter and put it in our safe with instructions for it to be given to Alexander after my passing. That evening we sit on our terrace, watching the sunset paint the lavender fields gold and pink. Alexander takes my hand, his grip still strong despite the arthritis. Happy? He asks. Deliriously, I reply. You. More than I ever imagined possible. We sit in comfortable silence, two old warriors who've earned their peace. 25 years ago, a stranger offered me $150 million and whispered, "Act now." I took the risk. I said yes. And it changed everything. I destroyed a marriage that was already dead. I exposed criminals who deserved to be caught. I took the money and turned it into a legacy of empowerment and freedom. But more than that, I found myself. I found my strength. I found a love that was real and true and unconditional. People still ask me sometimes if I have any regrets, if I wish I'd handled things differently. My answer is always the same: no. Because that night on the terrace, I didn't just take revenge on my cheating husband. I took back my life. I took back my power. I took back my future. And I'd do it again in a heartbeat. The money was extraordinary. The revenge was satisfying. But the real treasure was discovering who I could become when I stopped being afraid, when I stopped being small, when I decided to act. So to anyone reading this, to anyone facing their own moment of decision, their own offer to act now or stay stuck, take the leap. Choose yourself. Demand better. Fight back. You deserve it. And you're stronger than you know. That's what I learned from $150 million and a whispered promise. Act now. Change everything. And never ever look back.